Thank you very much. I'm going to be speaking about another very offbeat therapy. And I must say that I was very thrilled with Steve's talk, showing that great creative mind and just being able to dream up therapies to solve the immediate problem. And I was very intrigued with the way he handled the spirits from Vietnam. I seem to be working with spirits every single day in my office. And again, for those of you who weren't here, I'll just briefly say that I was trained in a very orthodox fashion. So the therapies that I'm doing are very unorthodox, and sometimes it's mind-boggling to me that, and I step back and I think, what in the world am I doing? But it gets results. And aren't we really interested in helping people regardless of what results, what efforts we put out, whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense? So I'm still a little skeptical about this subject as well, but I use it every single day, and I use it off and on throughout the day. And I would say that about 80% of the people that I see are troubled. Actually, I use this therapy with exclusively. However, when I wrote my book, which came out about 2 or 3 years ago, I said that I think it's 60% of people have this problem, and now I've upped the figure to 99%. So that I'm serious about that. 99% of the people sitting in the chair across from me are possessed by not only one spirit, but many spirits. And they may not be really having very many negative effects from these spirits. They may be very benign or very similar to them in their personality, or rather weak in terms of their impact on the person. But nonetheless, this is what I'm now consistently finding. And what I think is that probably 100% of us have been possessed throughout our life, and spirits come and spirits go. But before I go any further, I'd like to define some of my topic here a little bit more. When I'm talking about spirits and earthbound spirits, I wanted you to understand exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like you and me who have lived and died. They're people who have walked on the face of the earth. And of course, you can have your range from wonderful people to not so wonderful people, to horrible people. And generally speaking, you don't have spiritually oriented people, because when they die, they go right into the light. And I'd like to describe the death process to you. And this I've gotten from the regressions, the past life regressions that I've done, seeing people through their deaths in past lives and then on into the spirit world. What happens when someone dies is that immediately upon leaving their body, they are free, generally speaking, as they lift up away from the body, of all that they experienced. If it was a lot of pain, physical pain, they no longer feel that. If they were hungry, they don't feel that. If they burned to death, their skin is fine, they're just in a great shape, and they have a sense of euphoria as they lift up higher and higher from the body. They're often greeted, almost always they're aware of loved ones, departed loved ones who've come from the spirit world to greet them and to take them, to escort them into the light. And they go higher and higher. They don't necessarily go through that tunnel that you've heard about. They don't necessarily hear music. In fact, I would think of all the thousands of past life regressions I've done, only maybe 50 have mentioned a tunnel. But the rest don't mention tunnels. They just mention lifting up. They lift up through the ceiling. They look down the roof of the house. They go higher and higher above the trees. They look down. They see everything getting smaller. And then they sort of look toward a beautiful white light. And they join the light. And at that point, it all is really well with them. And all the other horror, if it's horrible, if not, it all fades from their mind. Now, that's the usual death process. Earthbound